Right, here it is. Here it finally is. Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. UFC Qatar, UFC Doha. Look how fucking stacked this card is. And my webcam is absolutely fucked at the moment. I have no idea what's going on with it. Any time I try and put the audio in on OBS with the webcam, it fucks up. But we got Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker in the main event here. And real G's know. Real G's know what's going to be happening here. I'm going to be at this fight. I have a flight in 8 hours time. I just got back from the gym, so I have to sort out this fucking video. I have to give you something before I go. But I'm going to be here. I'm going to be live. I'm going to be present. It's going to be an absolutely insane experience. I have a GoPro, so I'm going to hope to get like a vlog, but I actually don't know how to fucking use it, so that is a little bit of an issue. But fuck it, man. We're just going to go in there and see what fucking happens. But yeah, Doha is going to be pretty fucking sick. There's like a UFC fan meet and greet and stuff. And there's a athlete Q&A, so I'm going to hope to get a question on that. I think that'd be pretty fucking dope. I have a question in mind, depending on the fighter. But you'll probably see me on the big screen, so keep an eye on that press conference. But Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. I've been waiting a while, man. I've been waiting a while for this one. And I think the UFC have just updated here. You can see they're both fights, both of their last fights were wins. This dude's from Georgia 1 minute, then he's from Armenia. I don't know what it is up with. I don't know what really he's to say. One minute he's Spanish, the next he's German, the next he's Georgia. Well, fucking hell, man. You're a third of everything. But Dan Hooker versus Arman Tsarukyan. I'm going to be picking Tsarukyan in this fight. I think this is what we need to be looking at here. Dan Hooker's got very good takedown defense. Arman Tsarukyan's got good takedown accuracy. It's quite even here, apart from the average takedowns. He's shooting 3 takedowns per 15 minutes. So if you do the math, Tsarukyan's getting 1 takedown per round, which shows that he has good ability to get you down and hold you down. A lot of fighters need a few more. Tsarukyan has no submissions on his thing. I think having Dan Hooker as a minus 500 favorite is quite insane, but I'm liking Tsarukyan in this one. I like Arman. I think Arman's going to be Ilya's toughest test. I think Arman's one of the best fighters in the world. I think he was an absolute tit the way he acted the last year. I think he was the biggest fucking shite bag that we've ever seen the UFC put on. But I've kind of gone past that stage of disliking Arman. I really like Arman. He's one of my favourite active fighters in the sport at the moment, if I'm being honest with you. But he's fighting my boy Hooker. I love Hooker. I've loved Hooker for years. But I want Tsarukyan to win. And it's funny. Dana White has come out and said that this is going to be a #1 contender fight. I want to make one thing clear before I break down this fight. This is only a #1 contender fight if we see Arman Tsarukyan get his hand raised. In no world is Dana White going to be giving Dan Hooker a title shot if he beats Tsarukyan. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. When I originally saw this fight happen, I was like, Arman's going to fucking butcher Dan Hooker and finish him in 2 rounds. I was thinking Arman was going to finish him via ground and pound TKO. But the more I kind of think about it, he's been out a year and a good bit. A year and a good few months. Year and a half. Nearly 2 years. Not nearly 2 years. He's been out a year and a half, Arman. He's coming off an injury. Now, Dan Hooker's been out a year, and Dan Hooker's coming off a really bad handbrake. So I don't necessarily think Dan Hooker's in an absolutely great position either. I don't think he's absolutely fresh. I don't think he's absolutely minted. But I do think Tsarukyan is the more skillful fighter in there. I don't necessarily think Dan Hooker would... I just don't think he's real dangerous for Arman on the ground. And I feel like if you're going to beat Tsarukyan, you either need massive power or good submission threat. Oliveira wasn't able to get the job done, but Oliveira got an Arman in so many close calls on the ground. I think Tsarukyan's grappling is definitely, it's obviously his best point, but I don't think Arman's really shit on the feet. I definitely think he has holes in the striking. He's got a good chin. He got wobbled by Oliveira and wobbled by some other guy. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But I do think Arman's chin isn't necessarily a factor that I'm worried about in this fight. Dan Hooker's extremely rangy. Dan Hooker's extremely lengthy. Dan Hooker might get Arman like one of those knees down the middle. You know the infamous Dan Hooker knee down the middle? He's got a long range. If I'm Dan Hooker, I'm just kind of peppering away at Arman and then hoping he gets a little bit tired. Ripping to the body and then kind of overwhelming him up against the cage and hoping to get a TKO that way. Dan Hooker can win this fight, but I would be very surprised if he did, to be honest with you. I think Arman's in his prime. I feel like he's fucking idiot. He's been such a fucking idiot the last 2 years, Tsarukyan. Since the Oliveira fight, a year and a half ago, Arman's just been a complete fucking idiot. Like, the dude just... He turned down Mateus Gamrot. You pull out the day before against Islam Makhachev and you sit there complaining you don't get a title shot. I'm so fucking glad that we see Tsarukyan back in. I'm so glad we see Arman back in here, cementing a #1 contender fight. I love to see this. I love seeing title eliminator bouts. I feel like we could see one in welterweight. I'm going to talk about the welterweight division after this. We could see one in the welterweight division between Michael Morales and Carlos Prates. Ian Gary, if he gets a good performance against Belal Muhammad, will be next for Islam Makhachev. I think that's only fair. But as regards this one, this is a #1 contender fight only if Tsarukyan wins. I don't think, if Dan Hooker wins, he's completely covered in tattoos. I really don't. He's got tattoos on his toes, on his toenails, I've just noticed. That's pretty fucking crazy. But I don't think this is going to be a #1 contender fight for Dan Hooker if he wins. If I'll be honest with you, I feel like he'll fight Charles Oliveira or Max Holloway next. For Arman, I would love to see Arman versus Holloway. I think that would be an absolutely fucking sick fight. As much as I think Arman is stylistically Ilya's hard fight, I could see him struggling against a Max. I would have loved to see Gaethje versus Arman. That would have been a sick fight. But the way I see this fight going, I definitely feel Arman's going to get him down. Hooker, it's going to be quite a rangy striking match from Hooker at the start. I think Tsarukyan will shoot in. I feel like he'll be able to get Hooker down and maybe land some ground and pound then. And then you'll see a momentum change. Hooker kind of has a tendency to start sharp, but can fade really quickly. But he doesn't necessarily fade to the point where he's out of the fight. He just kind of looks a bit more fatigued than he usually does, but still has the ability to get up off the takedowns. But the thing is, I can't remember the last time I saw Dan Hooker in a 5-rounder. I want to say it was Dustin Poirier, but I feel like Dan Hooker's had a 5-rounder before that. But I haven't seen Hooker in a 5-rounder in a long time. And maybe I'm wrong in saying that. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I haven't seen Hooker in 5 rounds. As much as Tsarukyan hasn't necessarily had a bunch of 5-round experience, I feel like Arman's been in big positions just as much as Dan Hooker. He's fought, Beneil Dariush. He was the main event there. He fought Charles Oliveira. He was the main event against Islam Makhachev. I don't necessarily think Arman is a stranger to big occasions. Yeah, he shit the fucking bed against Makhachev, but he's had some main events before. I haven't really seen a reason to bet on Arman's cardio being shit. And I just think Arman's going to be able to land some good ground and pound. But I also could see this being a case of, and this is my official prediction, I could also see this being a case of Tsarukyan just kind of takes him down like Makhachev did a little bit, kind of holds him down. And it's kind of one of those performances where we're like, oh, okay, he needed to kind of get this one out of the way. Now he'll fight Ilya. And I really fucking hope that's not the case, because I've spent a lot of fucking money to go to Qatar. Shit's not a fucking cheap place to go to by any fucking means. So I really hope Arman doesn't go in there and fucking play that card. That would be shit. But I'm going to be picking Arman Tsarukyan via decision. And I see a lot of people are picking him via 2nd round TKO. My original prediction was a 2nd round TKO. But I feel like he's been out of the cage a long time. Dan Hooker's been out of the cage for a long time. And I feel like there's a lot on the line here. There's a lot on the line. And for Tsarukyan, I just feel like... I feel like he's been out of the cage a long time. And I feel like he's going to be able to just kind of keep Dan Hooker down. Dan Hooker's quite hard to finish on the ground. The only person I can remember finishing him on the ground was Makhachev. A lot of people have success with Hooker on the feet, but I don't think Tsarukyan has the striking to really mess with Dan Hooker on the feet in a way to where I think he's going to be able to finish him. But I'm going to be picking Arman Tsarukyan. I'm going to go Arman Tsarukyan via 49-46 decision. Maybe Hooker takes the first, lands some good strikes. Arman gets him down, he gets back up. Maybe lands a good few strikes towards the end and kind of picks the round that way. Exerts some energy, and then Tsarukyan comes in there and just kind of works him from there. That's my official prediction for the main event here. Co-main event, we have Ian Gary claiming a title shot against Belal Muhammad, and I'm going to be picking Ian Gary in this fight. Welterweight's in an extremely good position. I love the welterweight division at the moment. Belal Muhammad has no place in this division anymore. Ian Gary's... No fucking way is Ian Gary 6'3", by the way. Don't mind that shit. Some reason he's 180 pounds. I don't know why the fuck he's 180, but I hope he's not. And we all know the curse of the welterweight champion. When you lose the belt, you automatically lose your next fight. And that's exactly what's going to happen to Belal Muhammad here. I think Ian Gary is going to absolutely tit-tat at range. And he's going to absolutely boring decision, low kick, odd jab, getting Belal off from up against the cage. And it's just going to be a bit of a shit fight, if I'm being honest with you. I don't really see Ian Gary finishing Belal. Belal Muhammad's got a very... he's not really been finished in how long? I feel like Ian Gary's going to be able to keep out range. I feel like Ian Gary's got very good low kicks, feel like he's got decent head kicks as well, but he's got no finishing potential in my opinion. I just don't think he has finishing potential. Got like a nice low kick or head kick against D-Rod. Apart from that, you know, kind of, you couldn't even finish Darian Weeks. Carlos Prates nearly blasted him. But Ian Gary's fucking unbelievable. Ian Gary's one of the most technical strikers in the welterweight division. This is a big step up. This is a big step up from, you know, Shavkat. You know, he talks, the Shavkat fight, it's just like, you know, he made Shavkat look human, but he lost. And I remember him saying in a press conference, how'd that fight go? And I was like, you lost. Like, that's how it fucking went. But yeah, like, I feel like Ian's quite a good stylistic fight for Bilal, if I'm being honest with you. I haven't seen anything to say Ian Gary's got bad wrestling. He's gone 5 rounds before. Never showed any gas tank problems to me to where I think that's going to be an issue in the fight. Bilal Muhammad, very, very shit striker. Got decent hands against Leon Edwards, but I don't know what to say because Leon's my favorite fighter, but he's a little bit, yeah, he's a little bit, you know what. And apart from that, he's got a good Brady win. Like, he's got good wins like Luke A, Wonderboy, but none of these guys are in the division now. And I feel like there's a lot of stylistic fights that would cause some concerns for how good the welterweight division was. I don't want to see Kamaru Usman get a fucking title shot either, by the way. That's something I want to say. Usman getting a title shot is so fucking boring, and nobody wants to see that fucking shit. This is the next contender, Ian Gary. I'm very, very confident that he gets the Bilal Muhammad fight done, if I'm being honest with you. I feel like Bilal's had his time. He's been at the top for fucking years now. So he was former champ, never defended a belt, was never really that good, if we're being honest with you. Pulled out in his first title defense, fought Jack Della Maddalena and just lost. So for me, it's Ian Gary via decision. No way is he going to finish Bilal. I'm sorry, he's just not. And I see a lot of people saying online they're picking Ian via decision. I'm really curious to see what it's like to see a UFC finish in person. Because when you're at home watching it, you hear the commentators. But I want to hear the crowd roar. That's one thing I can't believe I'm going to UFC. It's so fucking cool. But yeah, I'm going to go with Ian Gary via decision in this one. He's just going to pit-pat a range. We saw him do it against Carlos Prates. We saw him do it against Jeff Neal. We saw him doing it against Neil Magny. We saw him have moments against Shavkat Rakhmonov. He took his back. Apart from that, he did jack shit, to be honest with you. You know, he couldn't really hang with Michael Venom Page on the feet either. Let's not forget that. So it's not like Ian Gary's this absolutely godlike striker. He can be beaten, but he's extremely well-rounded, and he's got extremely good ability to stay on his feet, which is why I don't think Bilal's going to win. You know, Shavkat didn't really get much off in the grappling. Kind of desperately held Ian up against the cage to get the win. And I feel like Bilal's going to try to do the same, but I feel like Ian's going to be able to learn for the Shavkat fight, which was a year ago. And I feel like he's going to be able to just keep Bilal at range. I'm not worried about Ian in this fight, to be honest with you. I think Ian versus Islam is bad. I don't think anybody in welterweight's going to beat Makhachev, if I'm being honest with you. And I feel like Ian Gary is going to be next in line. So yeah, I'm going to go with Ian Gary. I'm going to go with Ian Gary 30-27. I think he's going to get that one done pretty handily. Volkan Ozdemir versus Alonzo Mainfield. You know what? I'm going to go with Ozdemir in this one. I feel like he's been in the game a little bit longer. Alonzo's pretty good, though. Not too much interest in this one, to be honest with you. I actually couldn't give a fuck. You know, Volkan fought for a world title. Alonzo doesn't really done shit. It's a pretty decent scrap, but, you know, light heavyweight's just a little bit dead. It's just a little bit dead. Like, these are the top contenders. Mainfield and Ozdemir are the top contenders in the division. That scares me. That fucking scares me, if I'm being honest with you. So, yeah, I'm not going to be picking either of them to win any sort of a title fight anytime soon. And Jack Hermansson is back. I literally said in one of my videos, not that he's going to lose, by the way. I literally said in one of my, why is this guy 165? Why are you doing that to yourself? Why don't you just make 185? Give yourself a fucking chance, mate. But I literally said to, I didn't mean to click that, to Jack Hermansson on a video. I was like, is Jack Hermansson even in the UFC anymore? Yeah, he's probably going to lose. Orbilov is very good on the ground. I like him in this. If you look even by his stats here, he's got a good TKO. Jack Hermansson's definitely got submissions. I say he's good on the ground, so like if it does go to the ground, I don't really see Jack Hermansson getting it done. He's going to finish him, in my opinion. I'm going to go with a second round TKO on that one. Doesn't really... It's just Jack Hermansson. He's not all that good. You know, he probably would have beaten Darren Till back in the day, but that's about it. Sergey Spivak versus Shamil Gaziev. I'm going Semil Gaziev, the absolute GOAT, the greatest heavyweight to ever live. Absolute G, this fella. Got heavy fucking hands. Sergey Spivak's grappling ain't going to be shit for what, Semil Gaziev is going to be able to bring to that cage, which is just brute strength and absolute skill in a lackluster heavyweight division that no one really cares about apart from Masvidal and Gan. And I feel like he's just going to be able to keep him at range, and Sergey Spivak is in for an absolute fucking nightmare in his fight. So I'm going to go with Gaziev via first round TKO. There's a few fights here on the prelims I want to talk about a little bit more than this. So it's going to be cool seeing Horiguchi live as well. Horiguchi's a bit of... He's even in the fucking Reebok gear. That's how much of an OG he is. He went over to Bellator and shit. I'll go with Horiguchi on this one. Experience is key to me. Experience is a big thing. And Tiger Unkbalov hasn't really got much. Seems like a bit of a frail chap here. Doesn't really look... Don't even think he knows where he is, to be honest with you. So I'll go with Horiguchi on that one. Bogdan Grad versus Luke Riley. Very interested in this one. I can't believe... Is this the last fight in the prelims? When's fucking Shamrock so lad? You know what I'm saying, lad? Alexandre Topuria as well. That's a good fight. But Luke Riley. So I've been watching Luke Riley in Cage Warriors for a long time, lad. You know what I'm saying? Sign me to the UFC, lad. What more do I have to do? And he's one of fucking Pimlet's boys too, lad. You know what I'm saying? All playing the same gym, lad. Nathan Fletcher as well. What's it called? Oh fuck. What is their gym fucking called? I know it's hey, he'll come to me. But Luke Riley's got extremely good hands. I like Luke Riley in this fight. Bogdan Grad's got experience, which obviously I do think is a massive factor in any fight. But I've been watching Luke Riley for next gen. That's their gym, next generation. I've been watching Luke Riley for a while. I like his hands. He's got a good enough takedown defense as well. He put on one of the best fights in Cage Warriors history. I can't remember when it was. Maybe a year ago. Maybe a few months ago. It was literally one of the greatest scraps you will ever see out of a fucking MMA fight. So, gonna go with Luke Riley in this one. I think he's got good hands, and I'll go with him via decision. Nicholas, who gives a fuck? Alex Perez versus Haziov Ambulev. I'll be real with you. I've never seen this guy fight, and I'm not going to shit talk you boys. He'll win, though, because he's got a good record in Russian. So we'll go with him on that one. Next up, Alex Perez. Looking forward to seeing Alex Perez versus Asu Almabov. I'm going to go Asu Almabov on this one. I think Alex Perez is probably the most unreliable fighter that you can ever bet on in the UFC, if I'm being honest with you. Just always seems to lose when the fights are good. When the fighters are good. So I'm going to go with him to lose on that one. Not much there need to be said. These two boys, does anyone really care? But I'll go with Rafael Krakarev. Just looks like a bit of a beast last fight. He never even had a fight in his life, apparently. So we'll go with him on that one. And you know what? This is a good one to talk about. Alexandre Topuria versus Bekzad Amakan. And I'm gonna go with Bekzad on this one. Took Umar Nurmagomedov to a decision. Looked very good. Dropped Umar. If you look at this from a stylistic fight and you take this out, let's say you just take that out, are you picking him? Are you getting lost in the hype that is him being Ilia Topuria's brother? Because I feel like a lot of people are, and I was even getting caught in that trap as well. But I needed to realize that he's his own fighter, and Bekzad has been proven. Bekzad's been in the UFC for a while. He's had some solid ass performances. I actually like this dude. I think he's a bit of a fucking stud. So I'm gonna go with him on this one. I'm gonna go with him via decision. I need to see a little bit more Alexander Topuria. He's got good head movement. He's got good hands. Of course, he's Ilia's brother. He's always going to be decent on the feet. But I feel like Bekzad's got this. I feel like he knows how to get things done. And I think he knows if this goes to a decision and the longer this fight goes, his experience is going to play a massive part in this fight. Imagine Ilia sees his brother lose. Like, that's fucking crazy. And then Arman goes and wins. And then you have Makachev on the ground and Hamzat and shit. Like, there's going to be so many points on this. But yeah, I'm going to go with Bekzad on this one. I'm going to go with him via decision. I feel like I'll get that one done. But this is a really looking forward to this fight. Really, when I'm in there, I'm going to look forward to it. Man. And yeah, I'll go with him in this one. I just saw Shamrock's name, so who cares? So, Shamrock lad, Shale lad. I believe He's fucked. I'm not picking him in this fight. I'm sorry. I want to pick Shamrock so bad. I'm watching him in Cage Warriors. No, he wasn't even in Cage Warriors. Sorry. I've been watching him for a while. And he's put in Pimlet's gym. This is a short notice opponent, but, you know, Nurmagomedov, he's quite good. And this is quite a fucking hard stylistic fight to take on short notice in your UFC debut. Now, fair play to Shamrock for taking it. I remember when he got signed, I was like, fuck yes. And he's undefeated. So, listen, I just don't think so. I'm going to go with Nurev on this one. Nuralal. And I feel like I'll get someone done via decision. I don't think it's going to be tragic for Shamrock. I want him to get in the mic piece of Shamrock. Show lad. You know him, Shane lad. But, unfortunately not. And I'll go with out of every decision. And then we have two fucking bums on the first fight of the prelims. You know, Daniel Friesman, 2 debuts that no one cares about. But that is the UFC Qatar Fight Night Doha. I'm going to be there. My flight is in a few hours, so it's going to be absolutely insane, man. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to this whole event. It's going to be insane. It's just going to be absolutely incredible. Let me know what your predictions are down below, and drop any questions that you have that I could ask at the UFC press conference. Maybe one, if you type it down below, could be the one that pops this channel off, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to 1K, baby, before the end of the year. Like, subscribe, all that good shit, and thanks for watching.